Ladies and gentlemen, now joining us on stage, 2008 NCLR Capital Award honoree from the great state of California, the Honorable Hilda Solis.
Buenas noches. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Monica. And thank you, family NCLR, and all my friends that are here that I've come to know and work with, and want to pay special tribute to you, because everything that you saw reflected in the video is actually a tribute to the work that our Hispanic Latino community has provided for so many of us. And I'm no different. I'm a beneficiary of the struggles of people like Raul Izaguirre and people like Bobby Garcia and Congressman Esteban Torres. And I just want to mention quickly that some 20 years ago, I came here to Washington, D.C. as a student. And I was a graduate student working on my public administration degree. And I landed an internship in the Office of Hispanic Affairs in the Carter White House under Esteban Torres. So that was my first real opportunity to see how Washington works. And I remember fondly all the different national Latino Hispanic organizations. And there was much talk at that time. This was back in the very, very early 80s. And there was much talk about the Hispanic giant awakening and the decade of Hispanics. And I kept waiting to see what was going to happen, where our talents, where our skills would take us. And I knew there were many, many people out there fighting for the same things that I believed in: justice, education, equal treatment under the law, and to be respected. And those are the values that I brought here some years ago, and those are the values that remain with me. And just to give you a little story, my parents, who couldn't be here with me tonight, are both immigrants who came to this country, immigrated some 60 years ago. My father is a proud Mexicano from the state of Veracruz, and my mother is a proud Nicaraguense from Nicaragua, Jinotega. Who would have known that these two individuals would meet in Los Angeles and raise 7 children? And one of their siblings, the middle child, would come back here some 20 years later after serving as an intern, and now representing the very congressman that she used to work for. And that can only happen in America. That can only happen when dreams are allowed to flourish, when our young people, like so many that are in this audience, can have the support and mentorship and folks out there that are helping to pave the way. That's why I feel so compassionate about education, because without it, without the tools, the financial assistance, my parents, like many of yours in this room, would have not have been able to have sent us to college. Thank goodness for the Pell Grant. Thank goodness for the guaranteed student loan. And thank goodness for the work of those that are also being honored, like Congressman Diaz-Balart, who I know has the same passion as I do to see the dream realized, that undocumented students who work hard, laboring day in and day out, will one day have the opportunity to be able to have a 4-year college degree and gain citizenship, and rightfully so, serve their place in society as true leaders of our community. We cannot afford to close that door on the hope and aspirations of those 60,000 or more young people who want only to contribute to this great country. I want to mention also my commitment to our soldiers. In my district, in the 32nd Congressional District, we lost 14 soldiers. Some may say that's not a lot, but I do. The last one, in fact, was a 19-year-old Mexicana whose parents aren't even documented. But she enlisted in the service because she wanted to escape, get out of the area, and get an education. Unfortunately, that didn't come true for her. But we're going to honor her. We're going to honor her family. And we'll do one maybe slight thing for her. We'll name a federal building after her. But she will inspire the hope and aspirations of so many of our young men and women who are currently defending our rights and freedoms, many who are not even U.S. citizens. We need to provide more leadership in that area and allow for immediate citizenship for those who decide to defend our freedoms and our liberty. Many of us have worked really, really hard on getting more Latinos involved actively in government and civic leadership. And I personally want to thank Univision and all my good friends from Los Angeles and those that are here and across the country who continue to talk about the history of our culture. And it is varied. There is not one simplistic way to describe what a Hispanic or a Latino or a Latina is, because we look different, we come from various backgrounds, but we have one thing in common. We know that we value our culture and our language, and that's what keeps us going and unified. And I am very, very pleased to have them as my friend and to know that they had made a personal commitment to see that more than 1 million people became U.S. citizens. I wish there were more corporations that were so charitable and could do more for our community. So I want to commend them for their award this evening as well. You know, I worked on many issues. One that I'm very proud of has to deal with women. And it is somewhat fitting because it is Women's History Month. The month of March is Women's History Month. And we often forget about women who remain invisible, women who work day in and day out, some of who are working in the maquiladores along the border, many young women whose parents and brothers were not hired because they particularly wanted to have young women, because these young women were not educated and didn't understand what rights they had or ability to express their opinions. Unfortunately, over the course of 13 years, 450 of these young women, Mexicanas, were murdered in the state of Chihuahua in Ciudad Juarez. People ask me, why did I bother to get involved? I bothered to get involved because they are our sisters. They are our cousins. They are our constituents. Their family members live in our districts. And I, along with other members of Congress and my good friend, Dolores Huerta, who's been a champion for women's rights, came with me one weekend, and we spent time talking to officials in Mexico and to the families. And we made a commitment that we were going to begin to work on this issue. And I can say in true faith, on a bipartisan level, that we were able to get assistance from USAID to begin to do some specific investigative work, forensic training, to begin to have that dialogue with our friends south of the border, to give dignity to the families and the women of Ciudad Juarez. It's still not resolved, but that's something else that we're going to keep working on for all of us. Lastly, I want to say thank you to my siblings, my brothers and sisters, my sister Beatriz, who is Doctora Beatriz, who's actually been a big source of inspiration for me in terms of focusing my attention on healthcare issues and access and fighting for the rights of legal permanent children who reside in this country and their pregnant mother. We will change that piece of legislation that many of us voted upon in the upcoming year. I can guarantee you that we're going to work very, very hard to see that that happens. On behalf of my mother and father, Raul and Juana Solis, I want to salute them for the many, many years of service that they've given to their community, for the values that they've imparted upon their 5 girls and 2 boys, who I'm very proud of as well. And the fact that they remain a symbol of what the Latino, Mexicano, Nicaraguan, Central American culture provides to this great country. I'm so proud of them, but I am so proud of NCLR because I feel that we are one family, because we are fighting for the same issues. We stand tall, and we respect the hard work of each and every individual in our community, whether they are citizens or not, whether they have an education or not, and whether their pockets are empty or whether they fly in corporate jets. With that, I would just like to say thank you, and I am very honored and pleased to receive this award. Muchísimas gracias a todos. Thank you.